Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the office and the morning grind. It is so great to see you. I hope you are having a good morning. I have been. I told you I was trying to experiment with a new way of just trying to ram through and do a bunch of stuff over the past week and a half. That failed. So over the past 24 hours, I've been getting back into sort of my groove, trying to get back on my schedule, and it has been fantastic. I was up this morning. Well, actually, I got involved in a creative project last night, was accidentally up until after midnight, which I don't want to do, but still crashed, got up this morning after about 6 hours of sleep, and then got right back into creative activities, and that was great. I nearly have the Rabavania World Primer done. Only one more entry. I got to work on the squirrels. So who is here, everybody? Oh, Positive Fandom is here. It's her. Please check out her channel. Zero the Blade is here. I can watch that. Hopefully I can watch the grind better than I could yesterday. I should say what we're looking at today. We're going to be looking at the Book of Vile Darkness today. And this has been a very popular topic. We've spent lots of time on this. We've spent much more time on the Book of Vile Darkness than we did on the Book of Erotic Fantasy. because I think this is a better book. Lots of people have lots of good things. It seems like lots of good things to say about this book. That's good. So lots of good things to say about the Book of Vile Darkness. But it seems like a much better and useful reference. Hello, Seth. Good to see you. Good to see you. Stray is here. Welcome, Stray. Sable Phoenix is here. Good to see everybody. The Last Phoenix is not here, however. We do not have the last Phoenix with us. So I hope everybody else is being this productive. I'm gonna try to get a whole lot done today. I'm gonna try to got all of my boxes drawn out here on my in my notebook here. I'm gonna try to hit 10 hours worth of accounted time today. So let's get into this. Let's go to the Thursday morning messages, and then we will get started with the Book of Vile Darkness. The Morning Grind is brought to you by World Anvil. For all the RPG players out there, World Anvil offers extensive character management, including character sheets, journals, inventory, and spellbook. Everything a player looking to lose themselves in their character could want. Use the code MORNINGGRIND to get 40% off yearly subscriptions. The Morning Grind is also brought to you by the Cool Name RPG. Cool Name will provide design aids, tools, and resources that make it easier than ever for third parties to make new compatible content. Support its development now on Kickstarter. And thank you for being here with me live on The Morning Grind. And if you're watching on replay, welcome to you as well. It's great to have you here. If you're enjoying The Morning Grind, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It will really help the channel grow, and I would be very thankful. We also have the Ravenkeep Discord server you can join if you would like to be a part of the community. All right, that's what you need to know. Let's get to the main topic. All right, I just saw this morning, I haven't gotten to watch it yet, that Mark Tassin had posted another design blog for the Cool Name RPG over on the Mechanical Muse channel. And I have it up in a tab to listen to maybe as I clean the house today or something like that, because that's on the list. So I have really enjoyed the other design blogs that he posted. So definitely check out. Oh, Stray just put the link to the Cool Name RPG Kickstarter that's going on right now. So at 11.4 thousand. And if you're interested in the RPG design side of things, I really thought that what he's been going over, and I noticed he's brainstorming mechanics or things like that. So we've been working on that. We didn't work on RPG design last Tuesday because I've been working on some of the other projects. But if that's the kind of thing that you're interested in, man, I would definitely check out Cool Name RPG and the Mechanical Muse. Mechanical Muse is his YouTube channel where he's got the design blogs. Good morning, Lord Alathorn. Oh, we are now at full Phoenix quotient. At full Phoenix quotient. That is wonderful. Okay, so everybody got a drink this morning? Let's breathe and sip, and then we're going to get into the Book of Vile Darkness. All right, 2 deep breaths. Deep breaths, complete exhales, and then we sip. I actually have Mountain Dew Zero this morning. I've already been through more Mountain Dew than I probably should have had this morning. But that's all right. I got another cup this morning. So let's breathe. Okay. I feel better. All right, let's go over to the auxiliary camera. Here we go. The Book of Vile Darkness. And we're saying this is an official Dungeons & Dragons book. This was for 3rd edition, and it's written by Monty Cook. Although I did also notice that Bruce R. Cordell is in the credits as well. All right, so we've been going through this. Where were we? Oh, yeah, we had just been looking at possession and how to handle possession. And some people actually had mentioned whether or not dealing with the possession of a player character is a good thing or not. Because it does rob the player of some agency, sort of by design, if the demon can take over the character. But sometimes it may be appropriate. But, actually, I was kind of thinking about how to run an NPC, that might be taken over by some type of demon, and that the PCs might not know or be trying to figure that out, figure out what's going on. So I guess it could be either one, I suppose. But I suppose also having the PCs temporarily, or a PC temporarily possessed might be fun. But also I was thinking about these rules with Diablo, something like Diablo, did Grimhild and Last Phoenix, but possession is 9/10 of the law? Did both of you come up with that at the same time? But also, like in Diablo, if you had to take a creature inside yourself in order to go and handle it, because isn't that how the main character from Diablo handled it? Millmaster says, I'm cut off from buying games until I get our new house done. Oh, I understand that. I understand trying to work on a house. The exterior of my house still is not finished yet. Okay, so but now I wanted to go over and see what was going on with possessed objects, because that sounds pretty cool. I mean, I'd like to have possessed objects in a game. The idea, demons and things like that are some of my favorite demons and angels are some of my favorite themes anyway. Okay, so let's see how a fiend can possess an object according to here, and then we get into sacrifices. So a fiend can possess an object of at least tiny size and no larger than huge. An item held, worn, or carried by a character, including magic items, uses its owner's saving throw to resist possession. Unattended magic items gain a saving throw as if a spell was being cast upon that item. We did have rules for magic items in, I believe, Unearthed Arcana that kind of leveled up with the character, and I like that one. KJ says, possession is an obstacle to overcome by a player like many obstacles they encounter. I agree with that. I think it could be used very interestingly. I mean, maybe if you're constantly possessed and you actually don't have agency over your character, like, the possession, but actually controlled. We've got the differentiation between being possessed and actually being controlled. For long stretches of time, the player might not want, if the character was not actually controlled by the player, it might be a problem. But I was thinking about leveling up items. I wonder, because it says that you can possess magic items. I like that, because rather than having a character, replace a magic sword every level or something like that, I like players to become a bit more attached to some of the magic items that they have. So a fiend with the possession ability automatically succeeds when attempting to possess an unattended non-magical item. So a cup or something like that. Could be easy, or even a magic sword. A fiend possessing an object becomes a part of the object. A fiend can see and hear up to 60 feet away from the object, but can't use dark vision or blind sight while possessing the object, even if it ordinarily has those abilities. I wonder why that is. Can't use dark vision or blind sight? The possessing fiend remains vulnerable. Well, I get, does that have to do, well, that was kind of weird, because I would think that vision in general has something to do with your biological aspects. I suppose if somebody were saying, well, that the dark vision has a biological aspect and that's why you can't, but so does vision. So don't know. The possessing fiend remains vulnerable to spells that affect outsiders, extraplanar creatures, or evil creatures, such as Holy Word and Holy Smite, and mind-affecting spells and effects. Physical attacks and most spells, such as fireballs, don't affect the fiend, but they might affect the object. Harming the object does not harm the possessing fiend. If the object is destroyed, the fiend takes ethereal form and can choose a new host object or creature. A fiend can attempt to hide its presence within a possessed object, allowing it to pass through a magic circle or forbidden warden's church, and to escape detection spells such as detect evil. So that was actually part of an ordinary possession of a person, in which the fiend can try to hide inside the person. So you can also hide inside the object. If a spell ordinarily detects or targets only creatures, the fiend gains a +8 circumstance bonus on the hide check because it is within the object. The fiend can also attempt to hide to avoid taking damages from things like Holy Smite. A fiend can also possess a substance that has no fixed shape. Oh, this is interesting, such as a pool of water or a dust cloud, or as part of a larger object, such as a section of a wall. When it does so, the fiend cannot possess an area or a volume larger than 10 feet on a side. Oh, I like the idea of possessing the water. Demonic possession is just hacking someone's in real life account. Never tell anyone your social security number. Sable Phoenix says this book has so much about demonic possession it'll make your head spin. It's making me think more about demonic possession in the context of the world of theophany. Oh, Stray says, I think possession and madness in Call of Cthulhu is done right. It encourages the player to act upon it without taking control away. Oh, so you can get possessed in Call of Cthulhu? I guess that makes sense. I haven't seen their, I mean, I've looked at their madness, of course, but I haven't specifically looked at madness. It's interesting, Millmaster says, it's interesting that a species like Homo sapien, capable of both great works and evil deeds, comes up with these beings of pure good and pure evil when reality is more or a grayscale. Well, yeah, but it doesn't say that it can't see. Well, and that was the subject. If you weren't part of the original discussion for part 1, we talked about, this book did cover objective evil versus relative evil, and what the D&D structure of the cosmos is regarding objective good and objective evil. We talked about how Dungeons and Dragons operates, but it did talk about if you want to use a more relativistic scale of good and evil, how to do that and how that actually changes Dungeons and Dragons. Daniel says because it doesn't have eyes, but it says a possessing fiend can see and hear. The object doesn't have eyes or ears, but it can see and hear up to 60 feet away, but it can't use its dark vision or blind sight. Would this mean the fiend or demon are soul bonded to it? I don't know. Maybe. And horror stories about involving possessed items frequently involve hide and seek. Yeah. Good morning, Daniel. Yeah. So let's see. So I think that some fiends possess an item as a stepping stone for possession for a possession attempt on a character. The possessing fiend gets a bonus or on attempts to possess a creature that carries, holds, or wears the item. For every day the possessed item is worn or carried. I like these rules. This seems like something that we should have had before. So again, this book just seems to be doing well. So you get a bonus to possess a creature when you got an object that's worn by it. A fiend possessing the object can take any of the following roles. Changing a role is a standard action. So again, we've got Watcher, Controller, Corruptor, and Enhancer. When possessing a person, we had Rider, Ally, Controller, or Enemy. So a Watcher, the fiend possesses an object, usually something big and stationary. It can see and hear at twice its normal range, as long as the object remains stationary. So that's 120 feet. So I guess that's like a statue. It reminds me of the Watchers that are before the gates or before Kirith Ungol in Lord of the Rings. Controller. If the possessed object has moving parts, such as a wagon, clock, or crossbow. Oh, that sounds very gothic. A possessing fiend can control movement. A wagon can be made to steer toward a pedestrian on a street or roll out of a stable with no horse pulling it. A clock can slow or run backward. A crossbow can cock and fire, but not aim or load itself. Possessed objects with wheels or legs cannot move faster than a fiend itself could in its corporeal form. More powerful fiends can exert greater control. A fiend with at least 10 HD or Charisma 17 can force an object to animate, even if the object doesn't have any moving parts, such as a table or statue. A possessed object functions as an animated object as per the monster manual. However, no fiend can control an animated object with a higher challenge rating than the fiends. Yeah, you can't be possessed by your possessions. Those are just things. Oh, this is an exorcistant. I don't know. This is so the last Phoenix says, so it's not like magic jar spell where you can only feel life force of another creature around it, but not see. Interesting. Oh, do we need to compare that? Well, we should compare it to the 3rd edition magic jar spell. The magic jar spell where you can only feel life force of the other creature around it. Oh, in fact, let's check that out. Only fair. to compare it to the third edition. To the third edition magic jar. Magic jar. Oh, there's a lot in magic jar. But okay, so that's when you place your soul in a gem or large crystal, leaving your body lifeless. Then you can attempt to take control of a nearby body, forcing its soul into the magic jar. You may move back to the jar, thereby returning the trapped soul to its own body and attempt to possess another body. The spell ends when you send your soul back to your own body, leaving the receptacle empty. Oh, okay. So that is how. So it is a bit different from magic jar, but obviously somewhat related. Okay, corruptor. The possessed item radiates a cursed, befouling presence. Anyone touching the possessed object must succeed at a will save or fall under the effect of a bestow curse spell. With the caster level equal to the fiend's hit die. Unlike the bestow curse spell, the subject does not necessarily know that the curse is in effect or that it came from the item. Nothing about the object's appearance suggests that it's possessed, although there might be residual evil effects, such as described in lingering evil below. The curse lasts until removed with break enchantment, limited wish, miracle, remove curse, or wish, even if the fiend vacates the possessed object. A particularly crafty fiend might possess a small fountain as a corruptor, anyone who touches or drinks the water. Affecting anyone who touches or drinks the water. Similarly, a fiend might corrupt a patch of ground, affecting anyone who walks over it. Man, I can think of so many things to do with this. Palladium Fantasy had those great sentient weapons that didn't necessarily fully take you over first, but would slowly corrupt you. Zero the Blade says, this is why supplement books are best to make games better than core rules. Are the best to make games better than the core rules. When done right, this one seems like it's done right. Sometimes you get some of them that I wasn't real impressed by. I remember I was going to try to collect all the third edition stuff, which seems like back in the day, because I had a friend who had all the AD&D stuff. But then once what they call the splat books started coming out, I didn't really like them as much. So Enhancer, a fiend can possess a tiny or larger weapon or armor and enhance it as if it were a magic item. The fiend can duplicate magic items' power worth up to 2,000 gold coins per hit die. For example, a Hezru, 9 HD, that enhances a longsword could bestow up to 18,000 gold pieces worth of power on it. It could duplicate the effect of a +3 longsword, a +1 holy longsword, a +1 unholy longsword, or any other combination. A fiend that possesses magic armor or a magic weapon can increase the power by the same amount. And then see the Dungeon Master's Guide for all of those items. The fiend is in control of the powers it bestows upon the item. It can take them away as a free action at a moment's notice if the creature using the item does not act in a manner the fiend wishes. If the fiend leaves the item, it loses all powers bestowed by the possession. I'm thinking about all kinds of things to do with this. Despite the fiend's duplication of magic items' abilities, a non-magical possessed item doesn't actually become magical. A non-magical possessed item doesn't actually become magical. Detect magic will not sense an aura. Detect evil will. However, smart characters might notice that the possessed item behaves strangely or has unusual appearances. A magic weapon that isn't a masterwork quality, for example, is a tip-off that something is awry. So that's a strange, as a search DC 10, DC 25, excuse me, DC 25. Man, I was already on a creative high ever since last night, and it's only so much so. Vision says, always wanted to make a witch doctor character that rather than attacking did such debilitating curses that it made up for not attacking. The Last Phoenix says, make a fiend with agenda to kill and depose his superior fiend. Possess the sword, then try to convince the party's paladin to use the sword. Make a fiend with an agenda to kill. Oh. That's cool. Yeah, that's interesting because this isn't something that I ordinarily encounter in a game, and I bet other players won't either. So they won't think of these kinds of things. This looks like something that a way to add new stuff in here. Okay, sacrifice. Most evil gods and fiends demand sacrifice. When they sacrifice, they mean the sacrifice. When they say sacrifice, they mean the sacrifice of a living, intelligent creature. Commonly, the victim is a humanoid, but dark powers might demand the sacrifice of anything from Medusa to a giant to a beholder. The main criteria is that the creature be alive and have an intelligence score of 3 or higher. There was something about intelligence score that had to do with this that we were talking about earlier, right? Some kind of creature's intelligence. Maybe that had to do with cannibalism or something like that. Yeah, that's super interesting. It's not a cursed item. It's just possessed. Used to do things like the Bane spell and roleplay it like a curse. It kind of worked, but still I would love a dedicated witch doctor class. There was one in Diablo, right? The sacrifice must be made in a ritualized manner. It's fine for a blackguard to say he's dedicating every foe he slays to Vecna, but in truth, Vecna appreciates and rewards his followers for victims killed in a ceremony at a place dedicated to him. This means the ritual takes time and probably involves extra participants and unholy trappings. For examples of a sacrificial gear, see the executioner's tools and other equipment in Chapter 3. In a world suffused with magic, evil gods pay attention to whether someone makes a living sacrifice to them, and they often reward their followers for doing so. In some abstract sense, the sacrifice adds some small mote to the god's overwhelming power, and in return, the evil deity is sometimes willing to grant a boon or blessing in return. The reward a servant of an evil god gets for making a living sacrifice to the god depends on many factors. The primary sacrifice is the knowledge religion check result of the character. The primary factor is the knowledge religion check result of the character performing the sacrifice. Each of the other factors is represented with a modifier to the check. Okay, so it's knowledge religion that you've got to roll. Each evil deity has his or her own predilections and preferences for sacrifice. The different deities give different rewards to their followers. The following system of sacrifice and rewards is just a starting point. Give each evil power in your campaign its own unique sacrifices and rewards. So what is a sacrifice? A sacrifice is the offering of the life of a sentient being to an evil deity or powerful fiend. The victim is trussed, tied, or otherwise immobilized, so the ceremony may be conducted that culminates with the murder. In many rituals, blood is sacrificed, is a sacred symbol of life. When the blood spills during the ritual murder of an innocent creature, the blood, and sometimes even the soul of the creature, is dedicated to another power of malevolence. Bloodless forms of killing, such as strangulation and drowning, are possible during sacrifices, but usually those are despicable enough to practice. But those who are despicable enough to practice this profane art generally prefer bloodier deeds. So, what are typical sacrifice elements that get you bonuses on this religion modifier? Man, I'm thinking about this in terms of spell casting too. Oh, so Stray says we have allowed a player to possess an object or weapon if they die in some games. Well, that could be fun too. Temporarily, like especially if it's temporarily, like, well, maybe and they can, be in a sword for some time. That actually could be kind of neat for a limited amount of time. So its typical sacrifice elements include conducting a ceremony lasting at least an hour, conducted on an altar, conducted in a desecrated area, conducted in an unhallowed area, conducted in the presence of a creature important to the deity, such as a demon servant, for example, conducted publicly in the street or steps of a public institution, conducted before more than 10 followers, conducted before more than 100 followers. Sacrifice is tortured for 1 day prior to death. Sacrifice loses extremities to hungry demon prior to death. Sacrifice is good aligned. So I guess this means you could sacrifice a goblin, but you only get a +1 bonus for sacrifice is good aligned. Sacrifice is pure or virginal +1. Now, your hit die levels, that's what matters. 1 to 5. If you're up to 16, you get a +4. Sacrifices a cleric of another god. That's +2. Sacrifices a race or character hated by the deity, +1. Sacrifices willing but duped or controlled. Sacrifices genuinely willing is +3. But I guess you're supposed to stack all of these together. If a follower performs multiple sacrifices, the bonus on the follower's knowledge religions checks do not stack for every sacrifice. A separate check is made for each victim. Most deities only give 1 reward per day per temple. So no matter how many victims are slain, the leader of the sacrifice, called the celebrant, can perform multiple sacrifices and consequently make multiple knowledge religion checks and use those best results to determine what reward will be granted by the deity. So typical sacrificial rewards. What, like magic vestment? Most of these are spells over here. They're being cast. Like this is when an evil outsider appears and serves celebrant for 1 hour per HD of the victim. Serving is described in the lesser planar ally spell. So I guess that one's a spell too. Spell resistance upon the celebrant for 24 hours. Endurance, cat's grace, bull strength. The Last Phoenix says, I had a witch who sacrificed goats and other animals to death knell. Yeah, the bonuses are additive. Right. Yeah. So that's why I guess they're so low, because you're supposed to be doing a bunch of these things, I think. So dark craft reward. Well, sacrifice is a requirement. Sometimes a special sacrifice may arise in which, rather than granting a boon, a deity demands a sacrifice to avoid divine punishment. An evil god might demand a sacrifice from a disobedient cleric, or for one who has failed to perform a required duty or quest before granting him new spells. Periodic sacrifices might also be required for to power a temple's defense system, such as an anti-magic field, prismatic walls, a unique forbiddance or unhallow effect, or something similar. Typically, knowledge religion check DC for such required sacrifices is 25, and no other reward is forthcoming for conducting the evil ritual. It makes me want to actually build a whole magic system around this, because in a lot of the worlds that I build, I don't have classic Dungeons and Dragons spells, and magic casting like Vancian magic, but even something like the system that I really liked from Ataltis, which was based on the PowerPoints and things like that, which I actually really liked. It's still, Dungeons and Dragons-esque spell casting where people are flinging fireballs and doing stuff like that. The Temple of Doom. Yeah. What I think, that's exactly what I was thinking of too. But I think that, one of the ways to do magic that I like is more ritualized stuff. But I don't like it when it's just, the tag that says ritual. We need more stuff like this. So this is the kind of stuff that I think adds to that. I also like magic as crafting. We're going to get into magic as crafting in that. I looked into that quite a bit. And actually, I found that there isn't a whole lot of systems for that. But if you're actually getting into your ritual and what's actually necessary in order to cast it, then you've actually got an adventure that's set up around this player who is going to be able to cast this spell. So I like that. And in fact, this actually makes me also want to get the Book of Exalted Deeds. Was it as good? Does anybody know? So Sable Phoenix says sword and sorcery style games usually do more realistic magic like this. Yes. Like Conan, Adventures in Age Undreamed Of. Yes, it does seem like it's often something that is done in that genre. Okay, so wait a minute. So what is dark craft rewards? Experience points and gold pieces can be granted as rewards after a sacrifice. These so-called dark craft rewards have no actual physical manifestation, but the celebrant senses their presence like a shadow on the soul. Dark craft gold pieces and dark craft experience points can't be used to buy goods or attain higher levels, but they can be used instead of actual gold pieces or experience points when making a magic item. Only a single application of dark craft experience points and dark craft gold pieces can be applied toward A magic item's creation. The time spent creating the item does not change when the celebrant uses dark craft resources. When the celebrant completes a magic item created by the use of any dark craft resource, the item is tainted with evil. Others can sense this evil as described for an object of lasting evil. See, lingering evil. We're going to get to that again. Dark craft experience points for a dark craft gold pieces can be combined with the destruction of souls to make magic items even easier to build. See souls as power later in this chapter. Oh, KJ confirms the Book of Exalted Deeds is pretty good too. My players love using it. All right, well, Angels and Demons, then we got to get that one too. So curses. How do we handle curses? So we've got when a spellcaster uses Bestow Curse, the following curses can be substituted for those given in the spell's description. Let's go over here. I'm glad I got this out. Sable Phoenix also says Swords of the Serpentine has a great sword and sorcery flavor magic system to it. You always pay a price in corruption, either of yourself or the environment around you. Oh, so it's Trey saying that I love how the magic in the Swords of the Serpentine can corrupt the area around the caster. I like this idea of dark craft coins, but like you're talking about like the people who like, do you have magic item sweatshops? Hey, Jason, good to see you. I'm gonna have to check this out. So SOTS is a great game and one of the few magic systems in a long time that has a real original element to its cost. Oh, definitely have to check that out. So, okay, so we were looking at Bestow Curse. So we got the original Bestow Curse in 3rd edition. Again, you know, when looking at these books, I'm just looking at all this text. And isn't that great? Bestow Curse. So how is the truth? Bestow Curse. Okay, necromancy. And according to it, target creature touched, you place a curse on the subject. Choose one of the following 3 effects. -6 decrease to an ability score. -4 penalty on attack rolls, saves, ability checks, and skill checks. Each turn, the target has a 50% chance to act normally. Otherwise, it takes no action. You may invent your own curse, but it should be no powerful than those described above. The GM has the final say of the curse's effect. The Bestow Curse cannot be dispelled, but it can be removed with a break enchantment, limited wish, miracle, remove curse, or wish spell. Okay, so yeah, so those are 3, but that doesn't really give you a whole lot. Then it says, you know, make up your own, but make sure it's not more powerful. What exactly does that mean? I like having more examples. So things like the target is rendered sterile. The next person introduced to the target, that's number 1. The next one is the next target introduced to the target for the first time will hate him or her uncontrollably forever. Even if the curse is removed, the person still hates the victim of the curse, but the victim can improve the person's attitude normally after the curse is gone. Each time the target attempts to help a friend or ally, there's a 50% chance the attempt fails and causes the ally to fail at the task. The target is struck blind and deaf. Yeah, I know. See, all the text makes you feel like a real wizard reading his spell book. So I kind of want to do this. Just to see if this is just my perception or not. I'm just looking at text density. So this is, I know it's kind of difficult to see on camera, but this is the 3rd edition Player's Handbook. Here are spells in the 5th edition Player's Handbook. So I would say that this is, I mean, much more, there's a difference in font size as well. And I think, you know, I mean, there's still a bunch of text, of course, in the 5th edition, but it is laid out in a bit looser fashion. A bit. But this one, there seems to be a difference, at least to me, noticing. Sable Phoenix says, I'm getting a bunch of ideas for the Chaos Cult in my Tallest campaign I'm running. I really need to give this go back and give this book another read through. I'm so glad that I did. Like, this was the purpose of this whole live stream, is to be able to look at stuff like this, because I'm getting lots of ideas too. Each time the victim makes a D20 roll, a roll of 20 counts as a 1. Oh. Animals refuse to be within 5 feet of the target and do not respond to the target's commands or requests. Yeah, I want to build a whole magic system around this. The following effects can be substituted for those given in the Bestow Greater Curse description. See Chapter 6. So, like valuable metals such as platinum, gold, and silver turn to lead in the target's hand, even if they are in a bag of holding or stored away from the target. Oh, that's not good. See, the dying curse. When a particularly vile creature dies, she often speaks a final curse upon those who wronged her, usually the character who killed her. The effect of the dying curse depends on the level or hit die of the creature bestowing the curse. Oh, so this is not necessarily a curse that makes you die, but a curse placed on a creature by a creature that was dying. So HD, you got to be at least hit die level 5. And then you can bestow curse, and then you go up to bestow greater curse, or up to 4 bestow curses. Ooh, limited wish at 3 to 16, and then 17 to 20, a wish spell. Not all evil creatures will deliver a dying curse, because a creature that speaks a dying curse cannot be raised or resurrected thereafter. A true resurrection spell can bring the creature back, but the curse is immediately lifted if this happens. The dying creature can target anyone with a dying curse. The target need not be present when the curse is delivered. Greater bestow curse from 3rd edition, but is greater bestow curse in the PHB? Is it under greater? Greater any spell name. Oh, so bestow curse. Well, now I don't even see bestow curse. Okay. Spell, okay, well, all right. Maybe we'll find it in here. I think that amount of text is a novelty feature. One of the things this book does well is make magic less like superpowers and more like something you may not want to use. Yeah, I agree with that. It forces magic users to think about what they really want to cast and what side effects come from the casting. It's always a struggle, or it seems like it's always a struggle, to say, okay, if you want spellcasting characters, but they don't have the superpower effect like you're talking about, what are players who play somebody who is magically inclined planning on being able to do? Well, is it something like have a superpower like you're talking about? Shoot lightning bolt, shoot fireball, all of that right in the middle of combat. We had to deal with that when we were doing Journey to the Tree of Sorrows over at Infinite Black. That was David's world. And as I was writing it, I was writing most of the text. I didn't really think that Dungeons and Dragons style magic was the most appropriate for the world. But David made the call that, well, that's what players of a role-playing game are going to be expecting. So in its role-playing manifestation, it needs to be something like 5th edition magic spells. In all great stories, I love. So my point is, I would like to find a way to make that not true. That you can have useful spellcasting characters that are still useful in the game, but whose spells are not immediate things like that. So bestow greater curse is in complete divine. Okay, page 153. Okay, I don't have that one. Okay. Let's see here. Removing a dying curse. Lifting a dying curse requires more than a simple remove curse spell if the dying creature has more than 10 hit dice or levels. A miracle or wish spell removes the curse, but each dying curse must have a single means of removing the curse with some deed the DM designates. The deed must be something that the target can accomplish within 1 year, assuming the task is undertaken immediately. For example, the deed might be slay the dragon under the castle Bluecroft or climb the tallest mountain in the world. The target of the dying curse must have help accomplishing the deeds. Can have help. In fact, someone else can accomplish the deed as long as removing the curse is the expressed purpose of the deed. Thus, the king's champion can climb the tallest mountain in the world to remove the curse on the king. But someone who doesn't know about the curse climbs the mountain, the curse remains. Dying curses are generally the province of evil creatures, but this isn't always the case. A good creature that was terribly wronged or tricked into death may also bestow a dying curse at the DM's discretion. So, family curses. Sometimes curses are passed through a generation of a single family like a hereditary disease. A family curse can pass from a parent to a children, or parent to all children, or the curse can simply pass to the oldest child, the youngest child, or the oldest child of a particular gender, a child with a particular trait, and so on. A family curse can be the result of a particularly powerful dying curse, a wish spell, the use of an artifact, or the intervention of a god. So I don't see how to get one, but family curses can be undone as described in dying curses above. Some fate-based family curses can be forever broken if one member of the family can simply resist the doomed destiny. So it does say using curses. So let's look at how to use them. It says, at times, the curses may appear trivial. Why would a villain curse a foe rather than just using the same amount of magical power to obliterate the enemy instead? Because curses are an ultimate expression of true malice. It is often far more cruel to allow something to live in pain and disfigurement than to kill it and end the creature's misery. If a villain is particularly evil, such as a devil or a demon, great delight comes from causing harm rather than causing death. Assuming that your villain is confident or powerful enough to risk a curse, it's hard to resist the temptation of showing the world what happens to anyone who crosses her. But curses are always a risky proposition. A cursed victim might get the curse removed and seek revenge on the curse giver. Dying curses and greater curses can become wonderful springboards for D&D scenarios. If something cannot simply be undone with a spell, the action or remedy required to lift a curse is something that great adventurers are made of. On the other hand, don't overuse curses. Don't have every defeated villain speak a dying curse, and don't let the dying curse become routine. Yep, don't want to do that. So diseases it talks about here too. Let's see what's going on over here. We have the, okay, this is the, thank you, Grimhild. So the spellcaster places a curse on, this is part the greater curse. The spellcaster places greater bestow curse. The spellcaster places a curse on the touched creature. Use one of the following 3 effects. An ability score is reduced to 1, or 2 ability score suffers -6 penalties. -8 penalty on attack rolls, saving throws, ability checks, and skill checks each turn. The subject has a 25% chance to act normally, otherwise takes no action. So it's even worse. The greater curse cannot be dispelled, nor can it be removed with a break enchantment, limited wish, or remove curse spell. Oh, no, nor can it be removed. Whoa. A miracle or wish spell removes the greater curse, but each greater curse must have a single means of removing it with a deed the spellcaster designates. So basically kind of like the dying spell right here. Must be something that can be done with 1 year. Oh, but that's weird. I mean, that's harsh to be done. You got to do something like that if you're, especially at like, with one of your ability scores reduced to 1 or a -6 a penalty on both of them. That one's rough. This book has offered me some great plot hooks for various games. Oh, so these disease and poisons are really, really nasty. Even for 30E, which already had some poisons and diseases that were no joke. Not like 5E, where poison is just advantage and diseases don't happen. Yeah, this is back when you still had some, when D&D still had some bite, right? Okay, so we do have, so we got table of diseases. Okay, taken care of by fortitude saving throw. So, for instance, our stats on diseases, we have infection, like like it's inhaled or injury or contact. We've got a DC against our fortitude save. We've got the incubation time, and then what type of damage that it does. So, for instance, Death Song. One of the worst diseases known, this terrible plague has laid waste to an entire communities in less than a week. Victims of Death Song can do nothing but shriek and howl as their bodies wither and blacken. Once the incubation period expires, the progress of the disease is so fast that a victim can hear his skin crackle and his bones grow brittle and break. So that's a contact DC 25 save, incubation period 1 day. And then damage is 1d8 strength, 1d8 dex, and 1d8 con. Damage. This is the damage the victim takes after the incubation period if it fails its saving throw. Also, the damage is taken daily until the disease is cured. Ability score damage is temporary unless otherwise noted. Warp touched. What is so yeah, lots of different kinds of magic diseases. What are other aspects of evil? Oh, this is when we get into like souls as power, pain as power, and lingering effects of evil. We were told to go check these out. Yeah, Grimhild says, yeah, 3E was rough. Hit points go into negative, and then pretty soon you're just dead. Yeah, I don't remember death saving throws. Wasn't this back when it was still -10? Was it -10 in this? So other aspects of evil. What is going on here? The following elements of evil lore can be used as a plot hook, new game mechanics to depict evil, or some of both. What is Dark Chant? A few undead learn the secrets of the Dark Chant from forbidden scrolls and forgotten books. The Dark Chant is not a spell, but a number of particularly foul necromantic words and phrases strung together in a litany of evil power. If at least 2 undead creatures intone the Dark Chant together, all undead within 100 feet, including the chanters, gain +1 turn resistance. Oh, turn resistance is in turning undead. For every 2 HD possessed by the enchanters on average. For example, if a 7 HD vampire and an 11 HD lich perform a dark chant together, the turn resistance bonus is +4. Okay, but dark speech. There exists a language so dire, so inherently full of spite, malice, corruption, and hatred that it's simply called dark speech. This is the secret language of evil gods, so foul and so potent that even demons and devils refrain from its use lest it consume them. Not surprisingly, very few mortals even know a few words of the dark speech, but those who do are wise to never underestimate the power of words. The safest way to use dark speech is through spells such as Dread Words, see Chapter 6. Most characters must take the dark speech feat to begin to learn the dark speech language. The dark speech is extremely difficult to master. A special feat is required to speak even a single word of it correctly, for mortal tongues were not designed to utter the words of pure evil. Some evil outsiders know smatterings of the dark speech and need no feat to master it. To actually communicate by means of dark speech, that is, for a knowledgeable speaker to convey some information to a knowledgeable listener, the speaker must take great care, for both listener and speaker will be harmed. Or both speaker and listener will be harmed. There are no words in the dark speech for good concepts such as kindness, mercy, or purity. However, evil characters can speak of misery, anguish, hate, and betrayal with an accuracy impossible in any other tongue. The dark speech has no written form. It cannot be translated into other languages written form without losing its meaning and power. Besides communicating in the language of evil itself, there are 4 ways a speaker can use evil speech. The first is dread. The words cause fear, loathing, and dread when all hear them. Speaking words of dread is draining to the speaker, dealing 1d4 points of constitution damage the round the dark speech is spoken. When dread words of dark speech are uttered, all within 30 feet of the speaker make a will saving throw. Listeners who know the dark speech by possessing the dark speech feat gain the +4 circumstance bonus on the saving throw. If a listener fails its saving throw, it suffers the following effects depending on its hit die or level and alignment. So, for instance, if you are levels 1 to 4 non-evil, you are shaken by the intoned dark speech, and they flee the source of their fear as quickly as they can, although they can choose the path of their flight. Other than that stipulation, once out of sight and hearing of the target, they can act as they want. It can charm evil creatures. You can use it to power spells. The words of dark speech help energize evil magic items and spells. Again, this is draining to the speaker, dealing 1d4 points of charisma damage each time the words of power are intoned. If used in conjunction with an evil spell that has a verbal component, the dark speech increases the spell's effective caster level by +1. If used when creating an evil magic item, the dark speech increases the caster level by 1. You can if you speak it softly, you can weaken physical objects for corruption. Or you can create a hive mind. Up to 100 vermin or animals form an evil hive mind, as described in the hive mind section below. The united consciousness of the creature will take 1 command from the dark speech speaker, as if from the suggestion spell. So this is like the vampire controlling rats or bats, right? Pulling the creatures under the sway of evil is draining to the speaker, dealing 1d4 points of constitution damage each time the words of dark unity is spoken. Yeah, usually -10, though you use negative con score, not con bonus. The Last Phoenix says it had to provide a buffer for level 1 to 2 characters to not be one-shot at least, because they may have 4 HP but still 10 or 12 con. Hey, Pansmith. Hi, all. Pan says, I've caused game panic by cursing the player's familiar without killing a player's stats. Just as effective. That's an interesting idea. We all know what kind of terror you can, or what kind of effect you can have on the game if you all of a sudden kill a familiar or a creature. But maybe you could get away with cursing it, and that would be just as effective, like an animal companion or something. And in many cases, or possibly even worse. Trey says, if I remember correctly, HP went to -10, but these diseases attack attributes, and those in turn would make death saves harder over time. Yeah, a lot of those diseases did. We were looking at like that wasn't hit points of damage. These diseases over here, almost all of them, unless they say special, yeah, we're talking about strength, con, dex, wisdom damage. If I remember correctly, later in the book, there's a warning not to overuse anything from this book or risk constant TPKs. Let's look at souls as power before we go. Oh, hive mind is over here. Souls as power. Souls are the incarnate manifestation of life energy. As such, they contain a vast amount of power. Their power is so great, in fact, that they serve as currency on the lower planes. See Chapter 7. Night hags or fiends gather evil souls like a form of larvae, then sell or trade them for goods, services, or simply as a tribute to more powerful deities. Huge infernal machines and demonic devices are also powered by souls in these dark realms. See diabolical engines and demoniacal devices in Chapter 6. Souls can be used as spell components, see Chapter 3, and they can also replace experience points expenditures when creating magic items. Each soul is the equivalent of 10 experience points needed to create an item. You only get 10 experience points for a soul, but I guess that's because most like commoners don't have any, right? When the creator finishes making the magic item, it is tainted with lasting evil as described in the lingering effects of evil later in this chapter. Magic item creators can use the souls in conjunction with dark craft experience to craft gold pieces. To use a soul in this way, it must be properly prepared and stored. The best way to do this is to prepare a proper receptacle, such as the gem involved in a soul bind or trap the soul spell, or in a storage container used as an imprisoned soul spell. The dark altar stone magic item is also useful in this regard. Subdued or captured larvae or extraplanar spirits of the dead can serve as souls if properly prepared. Even incorporeal undead can be used this way if they are imprisoned somehow. Oh, that's interesting. You can use incorporeal undead as a source of power. Using a soul in this way, other than simply transferring it as barter, consumes it completely, destroying it forever. Destroying a soul is an evil act of the blackest sort, even if the soul was evil itself. It certainly does not, especially with this book. So it does not it does not shy away from presenting evil as evil. We're gonna have to get back to that, and we're talking about orcs as because I mean, yeah, orcs is a manifestation of the diabolic versus orcs as people trope. Sable Phoenix says, Second E was built on that from the ground up with the Blood War in the Plains, and 30 still leaned into that before Wizards started becoming a bunch of milquetoasts. Seth says, I do believe 5th Ed does in the DMG have poison as a nasty thing, also disease. Does it? You know, it seems like people tell me that the 5th edition DMG has stuff in it, but it seems like I always forget to reference it. Let's just see. Looking at diseases, 256. So we do have diseases and poisons here. Yep. We have some sample diseases: cackling fever, sewer plague, sight rot, and poisons. We do have poisons over here. Some more specific types of poisons. So they are here. I just never really, I guess that's because I never really, maybe because I didn't DM 5th edition. Really, I did a couple of times, but never as like an extended campaign or something. I was always just trying to run a module or something. No, I mean, I ran several modules, yeah, in 5th edition. I never tried to come up with, never DM'd my own campaign. So sample poisons. So we do have other poisons here, like Malice Inhaled. A creature subject to this poison must succeed a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or become poisoned for 1 hour. The poisoned creature is blinded. Purple Worm Poison. The poison must be harvested from a dead or incapacitated purple worm. A creature subjected to this poison must make a DC 19 Constitution saving throw, taking 42 poison damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. That's rough. Okay, so there was some additional information in here. Madness was in here. I knew that. Sable says, now they're just trying to say, oh, evil's a matter of perspective. You know, I wonder where they actually articulate that in 5th edition. We probably don't have time to get into that in great detail, but I mean, 5th edition alignments, right? I wonder where it actually articulates evil in 5th edition. I would be interested. Yeah, there's no entry for evil. But what about just alignment? Where do you look up alignment? It may not give you much information at all. I bet that's going to be the case. Alignment, page 122. Alignment, we don't have much information. Chaotic evil just says creatures act with arbitrary violence spurred by their greed, hatred, and bloodlust. Demons, red dragons, and orcs are chaotic evil. Lawful evil, creatures methodically take what they want within the limits of a code of tradition, loyalty, or orders. Devils, blue dragons, and hobgoblins are lawful evil. Neutral evil is the alignment of those who do whatever they can get away with without compassion or qualms. Many drow, some storm giants, and yogoloths are neutral evil. So I would still be interested to see if it goes into the nature of evil in more detail, because it's clearly there in 5th edition. Okay, so Brent. Hey, Brent. Anyone remember the guy in Buffy the Vampire Slayer series made up of worms, cockroaches, dark speech, hive mind? I don't know that one, but it does seem like a trope. That's a lot. 5e does have some poisons and disease rules, but they are never used. Talking about unofficial material. I had friends detect evil on a member for not eating the crust of their pizza. The Last Phoenix says, yeah, nowadays they seem to be wary of offending, scaring people by having their villains make actual heinous deeds. You know, I talked to Ajit George on this subject because he was the one who designed and created, it's on Table Talk. The conversation is here on this channel. And I spoke to him about this because in that book, I thought it was interesting that the danger to it's not the Radiant Citadel, Journeys to the, or is it Radiant Citadel? Journey to the Radiant Citadel? Journeys Citadel. Yeah, it is Journeys to the Radiant Citadel. The thing that is like threatening it is not any type of conscious being. It's like a storm or something like that. It was an interesting conversation. Grimhild says a low-level cleric or paladin can cure pretty much any disease or poison. So I was wondering if you're talking about official things. If you look at the official adventures, those poison and disease rules from 5e just never come up. And most of those poisons are just one-shot damage spikes instead of the lingering effects that they all did from earlier editions. Poisons used to be all ability damages or similar. Oh, got to go. Building a medieval tower for my roommate. Sounds good. Take care. Yeah, we're just about out of here. Let me see what else is going on here. Evil is however you want to represent it. Seth says, if you want your orcs evil, then so be it. If you want your orcs a different way, so be it. My personal belief is it's a game. Play how you want. Hackmaster has a section on harvesting poisons from slaying creatures. I remember that. Became a focus for one player. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're out of here. I am going to continue to be productive today. I'm going to be in the Discord server. I got some things to finish up in the Discord server to read over, and also been creating a character for a index card RPG game. So I will see you in the Discord server. I'm going to try to make, if you're trying to be productive today, check out the productivity section. I'll probably be there. We'll see if we can all hit it together. No live stream tonight because I didn't coordinate. Wasn't able to get a email out to invite somebody to be on tonight. The person that I was going to have tonight canceled on me because the person is sick. So no problem. We will reschedule, but I wasn't able to find somebody else find somebody else to put in tonight. So no live stream tonight, no table talk tonight, but we will be here tomorrow morning talking about Pathfinder again. So I will see you in the Discord server. Everybody be productive and grind on.